Hey there, and welcome to Tales by June, where hearts break, heal, and sometimes seek revenge. Let's begin today's story.
Hey, before we begin, let me know where you're watching from. I love seeing how far these stories travel. And if you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.
I still remember the moment my heart snapped. It was quiet at first, a soft cracking inside my chest. Then it spread, like a scream I couldn't let out. I didn't plan to walk away from my family that night. But sometimes life pushes you so hard that the only thing you can do is break, and then get up in a different direction. My name is Ava, and this is the story of the night I finally chose myself. People always assume the worst pain comes from strangers, but the deepest wounds come from the ones who say they love you, the ones who raise you, the ones who should protect you. Growing up, I was the child who never shined enough. I struggled with school. Math terrified me. History bored me. Even my handwriting looked like a doctor's rushed prescription. I was the messy one, the slow one, the one who needed to try harder. My sister, Amelia, was the opposite. Straight A student, student council,
honor roll,
perfect smile, perfect posture, perfect everything. My parents adored her. They glowed when she walked into a room. They dimmed when I entered. I tried not to care. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself love didn't need to be earned. But in our house, it felt like I had to fight just to be seen. Every report card, every school event, every dinner, it was always the same. Praise for her, silence for me. Still, I stayed. Because you don't give up on family, right?
you hold on.
You hope one day they'll turn and say, "We're proud of you too." That day never came. The night everything changed, my father was hosting a huge celebration. A business milestone. A family gathering. A chance for him to show off his legacy. I came because I thought maybe this time would be different. Maybe they would say my name with warmth. Maybe they would finally see me. Instead, I watched my parents stand on stage, smile wide, and announce Amelia as the future CEO of his company. The room erupted in applause. Everyone cheered. Everyone except me. I clapped, but my hands felt heavy. My throat felt tight. Because I already knew I wasn't in their plans, but hearing it so publicly still crushed me. Then my mother leaned into the microphone and said something that would carve itself into my memory forever. "We always knew Amelia would shine," she said. "And of course, not everyone is meant for important roles. Some children take different paths."
People laughed.
Not loudly, but enough. Enough for me to hear it. Enough for me to feel it. I felt dozens of eyes glance at me.
Pity.
Judgment. Embarrassment. My mother smiled like she'd made a harmless joke, but her words hit me like a slap. I stood there, frozen. My cheeks burned. My chest tightened. My legs trembled. I whispered to myself, "Don't cry. Not here." I tried to swallow the pain, but it tasted like metal. Then, as if that humiliation wasn't enough, my father joined in. "Ava's always been unique," he said with a laugh. "Not the business type." My stomach twisted. My vision blurred. It felt like the floor tilted. The same people who were supposed to protect me had thrown me under a spotlight just to tear me down. And that was the moment. The soft crack inside me became a full break. I walked out of the hall before they even left the stage. No one called my name. No one followed. I stepped into the cold night, heels sinking into the grass. The air hit my face like a slap of reality. For the first time, I realized something bitter but true. I was completely alone in my own family. And if that was the case, then walking away wouldn't really change anything.
So, I did it.
I walked.
Past the garden.
Past the parked cars. Past the glowing party lights. My hands shook. My heart pounded. But with every step, I felt something new rising inside me. A voice I had buried for years. A voice that whispered,
Leave.
"Save yourself. Start over." And so I did. That night, I cut all ties. No dramatic speech.
No confrontación.
No tears left to show them. I just walked away. They didn't know it then. But that was the last time they would ever see me as the girl they could humiliate. One day, they would regret it. One day, they would reach for me and find nothing but the space where I used to be. But that comes later. That night, all I had was the cold, my trembling breath, and the first spark of a new life. A life without them. I wish I could tell you the humiliation happened in one clean moment, but it didn't. It came in waves, sharp, cold, unstoppable. Each one cut deeper than the last. When my parents went on stage that night, I stood near the back of the hall, next to a table covered in half-melted ice and empty wine glasses. I remember thinking how beautiful everything looked. White lights draped along the ceiling, gold ribbons tied around every chair, soft music playing from hidden speakers. It was supposed to be a celebration, a family moment, maybe even a fresh start. But I should have known better. My father tapped the microphone. The room grew quiet. My mother stood beside him, glowing with pride, holding Amelia's hand. And just like that, the spotlight moved. Not physically, emotionally. People leaned forward. Phones came out. Everyone was ready to applaud the golden child. "We're so proud of Amelia," my father announced. The crowd cheered before he even finished the sentence. I clapped too. My palms felt numb. My smile felt fake. But I tried. I really tried. Then came the line that burned itself into my bones. "She has always been the star of our family," my mother said. "And tonight, we are excited to announce she will be the next CEO of our company." More applause. Louder this time. Someone whistled. Someone shouted her name.
I felt a small sting in my chest.
But I expected this. I thought I could handle it. Until my mother kept talking. "Of course," she said, with a laugh that felt sharp and cold. "Not everyone in the family is meant for leadership." A few people chuckled. I stood very still. I felt the first crack. Then she added, "Some of us take a little longer to find our place." Her eyes flicked toward me, just for a second, but it was enough for the whole room to follow her gaze. A slow wave of whispers swept through the hall. "Is she talking about?" "Yes, the other daughter. The one who barely finished school." Someone behind me said, "Oh, poor thing." Another replied, "Well, every family has one." My shoulders tightened. I felt hot, embarrassed and trapped, like I was standing under a microscope. Amelia stepped forward, smiling like an angel polished for display. But her eyes told a different story. She looked at me for a moment. Then she tilted her head and smiled wider, as if saying, "This is my night. Stay in your place." I felt something inside me sink. Then my father joined in. And he wasn't even joking. "Ava's more creative," he said. "Not very organized. Definitely not business material."
People laughed.
My heart didn't just crack this time. It dropped. Even strangers could see the humiliation. I could feel their pity, like a heavy blanket. Their eyes burned holes in my skin. One woman whispered, "Why would they say that about their own daughter?" Her husband replied, "Because it's true." My breath shook. My fingers went cold. I wanted to disappear. I wanted the floor to open and swallow me whole. A man from my father's board leaned over to my mom and said, with a small chuckle, "At least you have one successful daughter." My mother smiled proudly. Exactly. That was it. That was the moment the final piece of me fell apart. My vision blurred. Not from tears. Those would come later, but from shock. From the realization that they didn't slip up. They didn't accidentally hurt me. They meant every word.
They weren't proud of me. They weren't neutral about me. They were ashamed of me.
I stood there for another minute, numb and silent, while the applause washed over Amelia like warm sunlight and washed over me like cold rain. Then I turned.
No dramatic exit. No shouting. No confrontation.
Just a simple turn of my body, like something inside me had finally stopped fighting. I walked out of the hall. My heels clicked against the floor, each step sounding louder than the last. Nobody noticed me leaving. Or maybe they did, and they didn't care. As I reached the doors, I heard my mother call out from the stage, laughing, "Ava's always been so sensitive." People laughed again. The last sound I heard before the doors closed was Amelia's perfect laugh blending into the crowd. Outside, the cold air hit me hard. I sucked in a shaky breath. My eyes finally filled. A single tear slipped out, then another. But I wiped them quickly because somehow crying felt like giving them more power. I stood under the night sky, all alone, and whispered to myself, "I'm done." And I meant it. I didn't look back at the hall. Not once. Right there, on that cold pavement, I made the quietest but strongest decision of my life. I would never let them humiliate me again. Not my parents. Not Amelia. Not anyone. I walked toward the street with no plan, no money, and no idea what would come next. But I knew one thing for certain. I was leaving that life behind forever. When I walked away from that party, I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I couldn't go back home. Not after the way they looked at me. Not after the way they laughed at me. So, I disappeared for a week. I stayed in a cheap motel. I turned off my phone. I cried until my throat hurt. I stared at the ceiling for hours, replaying every word they said, every laugh, every whisper. I felt empty and heavy at the same time. On the fourth day, my phone started buzzing nonstop.
Calls.
Voicemails. Messages.
Dozens of them.
My father. "Where are you? This is childish." My mother. "You embarrassed us." Amelia. "Seriously, Ava? You ruined my night." Then more. "Come home now. We need to talk." Stop acting dramatic. For 3 more days, I ignored them. But on the 7th day, exhaustion won. I picked up the phone. My father's voice came first, sharp and irritated. "Finally. Do you have any idea what you've put us through?" I didn't answer. My throat was tight. My mother cut in. "You come home. Tonight. We'll talk this out. Enough running around." I closed my eyes. Part of me wanted to hang up. Another part wanted closure.
He whispered, "Fine."
"I'll come." When I walked back into the house, the air felt cold. Not the temperature, just the atmosphere. My mother stood with her arms crossed. My father looked annoyed. Amelia sat on the couch, scrolling her phone like she had better places to be. No one hugged me. No one asked if I was okay. My father started immediately. "Where were you? Do you have any idea how irresponsible that was?" I swallowed. I needed space. Space. My mother scoffed. "You vanished for a week, Ava. People were asking about you." It reflected badly on us. There it was again. Their favorite concern, reputation. I clenched my hands. I left because I was humiliated. My mother blinked. Humiliated? By what?
Ich zerrte her.
By what you said about me. On stage. In front of everyone. She waved her hand like it was nothing.
"Oh, that?"
It was just a joke. "You're too sensitive." A small, sharp pain hit my chest. Again. Always too sensitive. My father added, "You're taking it too seriously." Amelia earning her place doesn't mean you're less. You just have different strengths. Amelia finally looked up. Well, it's not my fault I'm better at things, Ava. You know I work for my success. I looked at her, really looked. Her perfect hair, her perfect confidence, her perfect ability to dismiss me. I've been working too, I said quietly, for years. Jobs you never asked about, skills you never cared to see. My father sighed like I was annoying him. Ava, be realistic. You've always struggled. That's not our fault. My mother's voice softened, fake softness, the kind that hurts even more. We love you, but you need to accept who you are. Not everyone can be exceptional. My heart dropped. I felt the same humiliation from the party rise again, filling my throat, my chest, my eyes. So, I'm the disappointment, I whispered. No one corrected me. No one said, no, you're not. They just stayed silent. That silence was louder than any insult. I felt something inside me collapse. I didn't leave because I wanted attention, I said. I left because I've been invisible my whole life. And that night, you made me feel like I was nothing. My mother frowned. Oh, stop being dramatic. My father nodded.
Exactly.
You're creating problems that aren't there. A numbness washed over me. Cold, heavy, final. I looked at all three of them. My family, my blood. People who should have stood beside me, but instead stood on top of me. I'm done, I said softly. My mother rolled her eyes. Done with what now? Done with this. With trying. With begging for your approval. With staying in a house where I'm always the joke. Amelia snorted. God, Ava. You always make everything about you. My chest tightened. Not from weakness. From clarity. I'm leaving, I said. And this time, it's not for a week. It's forever. My father shook his head, frustrated. You're being ridiculous. My mother muttered, she'll calm down. Amelia shrugged, already looking at her phone again. She always does. But they were wrong. This time, the break wasn't emotional. It wasn't temporary. It wasn't a reaction. It was a decision. I walked to the door. No one followed. No one stopped me, not even out of instinct. As I stepped outside, I realized the truth. They didn't think they'd lost me. They thought I'd be back. Like always. They thought I was dramatic, emotional, fragile. They didn't understand that this time, my heart had already closed the door. And once I leave something broken behind, I never go back to pick it up. The morning I left town, the sky looked washed out and pale, like it hadn't fully woken up yet. I stood on the train platform with one suitcase and a heart that felt heavier than everything I carried. No one knew I was leaving. No one cared enough to ask. When the train doors closed behind me, it felt final, like a chapter snapping shut. I sat by the window, watching the town shrink as the train pulled away. The houses grew smaller, the streets blurred, and in the rhythm of the rails, my memories began to surface, slow at first, then all at once. Flashbacks always come when you try to run from them. Mine hit me like cold waves. The first memory that rose was from when I was 8. It was a school talent show day. I had practiced a silly little dance for weeks, twirling, stepping, trying my best. I remember running out of the school building afterward, holding my tiny participation certificate, excited to show my mom. She wasn't there, but Amelia was, standing with Mom and Dad, holding her first place trophy from her debate competition. They were beaming at her, clapping for her, praising her. I ran up to them, holding out my paper.
Mom.
Look. She glanced at it, barely a second.
A participation certificat?
That's nice, Ava. Now move. We need a picture with your sister. I remember stepping aside while they positioned Amelia in the center, fixing her hair, telling her she was brilliant. I stood in the background, clutching my little paper until it wrinkled. No one ever took a picture of me that day. The train rattled, bringing me back for a moment, but my mind wasn't done yet. Another memory surfaced. I was 12. It was my birthday. I woke up early, excited, expecting the usual small celebration. But when I came downstairs, my mother was decorating the living room with pink balloons and a giant banner. Happy 16th, Amelia. I blinked. But my birthday is today. My mom barely looked at me. We'll do something small for you later this week. Today is your sister's sweet 16 planning day. Don't make it about you. Dad chimed in. We all have priorities, Ava. Don't create drama. I remember sitting on the staircase, watching them decorate for a party that wasn't mine, feeling small and unwanted. My birthday dinner that year was a takeout pizza.
No candles. No cake. No singing.
The train sped up, the landscape passing in fast streaks of green and brown. I leaned my head against the window, my chest tightening. Then came the third memory, one that always stung the most. I was 17, struggling with school. Math had become a nightmare. I tried tutoring, study groups, everything. But no matter how much I tried, the numbers tangled in my head. I remember sitting at the kitchen table, crying over a test I failed. My father took the paper from my hands, looked at the F, and sighed like I was a burden. You should be more like your sister, he said. Amelia never gives us this kind of trouble. Amelia, who was walking past, smirked a little. Want me to do the homework for you? Again? Her tone wasn't kind. It was victorious, like she enjoyed being the better one. I whispered, No, I'll do it. She leaned close and said, You can't. You never can. My mother overheard and didn't correct her. She just said, She's not wrong. I remember wiping my tears quietly, feeling like I was the failure they kept hidden in the corner of the house. The train hit a turn, and the sudden sway brought me back to the present. I blinked away the tears forming in my eyes. All those moments, I had buried them so deep, telling myself they weren't as bad as I remembered. Telling myself every family had flaws. Telling myself love was enough reason to stay. But now, with the tracks pulling me farther and farther away, I finally saw everything clearly. It wasn't just the party. It wasn't one bad night. It was years. Years of being the second choice. Years of being compared, ignored, overshadowed, silenced. Years of being told without words, and sometimes with them, that I was less. Amelia had always been the sun in their world, and I had been a shadow they stepped over. I closed my eyes and breathed slowly, letting the truth settle in my chest. It hurt, but the pain felt honest. Finally honest. As the train rushed forward, I felt something inside me loosen. I wasn't just leaving the town. I was leaving the version of myself they created. The quiet one, the weak one, the one who was always not enough. The countryside blurred outside my window, and for a moment, I allowed myself a small, shaky smile. Maybe this was what freedom felt like. Painful, lonely, but real. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't running back. When the train finally slowed and the brakes screeched, I opened my eyes and realized something simple but powerful. I wasn't going back. Not to them. Not to the girl they broke. I stepped off the train into a new town, smaller, quieter, almost comforting. The air smelled like coffee and rain. People walked with slower steps. No one knew my name. No one knew my past. For the first time in a long time, I felt invisible in a good way. I rented a tiny room above a bakery. The The walls were thin, and the sink leaked a little, but it was mine. And it was enough. That was the beginning of my new life. I found a job at a small publishing office within a week. It wasn't glamorous. I wasn't editing best-selling novels or leading meetings. I packed shipments, organized shelves, and answered emails. But people there smiled at me. They said good morning like they meant it. They didn't compare me to anyone. They didn't expect perfection.
They didn't look disappointed when I spoke.
It felt strange at first, being treated like a normal human being. But I slowly learned to breathe again. One evening, a few weeks into my new routine, my phone rang. I didn't recognize the number at first. Then I saw the contact name flash on the screen.
Mom.
My stomach tightened. I hesitated, but I answered. Her voice came sharp, irritated, like always. Ava, good. You picked up. Listen, Amelia's CEO celebration is this weekend. You need to attend. Don't make this dramatic. I closed my eyes. There it was. The same tone, the same dismissive attitude. She continued, people will expect to see the whole family. So don't embarrass us again. Again. That word cut deep. I stayed quiet. Not a single response. After a few seconds, she snapped, Ava, are you even listening? I didn't answer. I brought the phone to my ear, whispered a single breath, and then I ended the call. Just a clean cut. No words.
No excuses.
It felt strangely peaceful. The night of Amelia's party came and went. I worked late at the publishing office, sorting books and closing shipping boxes.
No fancy dresses.
No loud music.
No fake smiles.
Just me and the soft hum of a quiet workplace. When I checked my phone during my break, I saw 12 missed calls. 3 from Mom, 4 from Dad, 5 from Amelia. I didn't listen to the voicemails. I didn't open the messages. I let them sit there like ghosts I refused to acknowledge. The next morning, while I was walking to work, my phone rang again. Dad this time. I sighed and answered, because something in me knew this conversation needed to happen. The moment the call connected, he started yelling,
Ava.
What is wrong with you? You didn't show up last night. Guests were asking where you were. Some people started rumors. I kept walking, my step steady. What rumors? I asked, my voice flat. That you ran away, he snapped. That you're unstable. That you're jealous of your sister. We had to defend you. I almost laughed.
Defend me?
They never defended me a single day in my life. Mom took the phone from him. Her voice came out sharp, impatient. We told people you were busy with work, but honestly, Ava, you made us look bad. Amelia was embarrassed because people kept asking why her sister wasn't there. You could have at least shown your face. I didn't answer. My silence must have annoyed her, because she added, You need to stop this attitude. It's childish. There it was again. The same pattern. The same blame. Then Amelia's voice chimed in the background, loud enough for me to hear. Just tell her to get over it. She hates when I succeed. It's obvious. My chest tightened, but not with pain. With clarity. I finally spoke. Don't call me again. The silence on their end was instant. Heavy.
Shocked.
Dad said, Excuse me? You heard me, I said. I don't belong with you. I don't want your calls. Not anymore. Mom's voice rose, sharp. Ava, stop being ridiculous. No. I cut her off. I'm done letting you treat me like a mistake. I'm done letting Amelia talk down to me. I'm done pretending we're family. You lost me long before I walked away. This time, I'm making it official. Dad whispered something stunned. Amelia muttered, She's bluffing. But I wasn't. For once, I continued. Listen carefully.
Do not call me. Do not text me. Do not ask about me.
I'm living my own life now, and none of you are part of it. I heard Mom inhale sharply, like she wanted to argue, but I didn't let her. I ended the call, just like that. I stood still on the sidewalk, breathing in the cold morning air. My hands were shaking, but not from fear, from relief. For the first time ever, the line between me and them was clean, sharp, final. They were my family anymore. And deep down, I knew they understood that. Their silence after the call wasn't confusion. It was shock, because they finally realized the truth. I didn't need them. I didn't want them. And I wasn't coming back. After that final phone call, my life moved forward in a way that felt soft and steady, like the world was finally letting me breathe. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. And the space that used to ache inside my chest slowly began to feel warm. The publishing office became more than a job. It became a place where people smiled at me, asked about my day, shared their lunches, and laughed with me over silly mistakes. For the first time, I didn't feel like the extra person in the room. I felt like I belonged. But the place that truly healed me was the small cafe beneath my rented room. It was called the Willow Cup, run by Mrs. Gardner, an older woman with silver hair, soft cardigans, and hands that always smelled like cinnamon. She reminded me of the kind of grandmother I wished I had growing up. She took a liking to me from the very first day I walked in, sleepy and overwhelmed. "You're new," she said warmly.
Seat.
"I'll get you something sweet. You look like a girl who needs something sweet." She was right. And that tiny moment, the kindness in her voice, felt like sunlight on a cold day. Soon, the cafe became my little sanctuary. The wooden tables, the soft music, the smell of pastries baking in the oven. I spent hours there after work, sipping tea and watching people come and go. Mrs. Gardner always joined me after the rush. She'd sit across from me and ask about my day in a tone that made me believe she genuinely cared. Because she did. Then came the kids. Every weekend, families came to the cafe for the mini reading circle she hosted. One day, when the usual storyteller canceled, Mrs. Gardner looked at me and said, "Ava dear, you have that spark in your eyes. Would you read to them today?" I was nervous, but the kids looked so excited, sitting on the rug with their little hands folded in their laps. So I took the book and began reading. But somewhere in the middle of the story, I got carried away. Instead of reading word for word, I added pieces. Small details, little twists. A different world took shape as I spoke. When I finished, the kids stared at me, wide-eyed. "Tell another one. How did the dragon get its wings? What happened to the girl in the forest?" And for the first time in my life, people were waiting for my words. The Saturdays soon became my storytelling days. The kids showed up early, eager. Parents leaned in from nearby tables. Even the staff paused to listen. Mrs. Gardner always watched from behind the counter, smiling like she was proud of me. Proud, something I had never felt from my own family. One rainy afternoon, after I finished a story about a lonely girl who found her voice through magic, Mrs. Gardner brought over hot chocolate and said softly, "You're meant for something more, Ava. I can feel it." I smiled, brushing it off. I didn't think much of it. Not until he approached me. He was an older gentleman, maybe in his late 60s, dressed in a tailored gray coat. He had a calm, thoughtful air about him, like someone who spent a lot of time observing the world. He approached my table after the kids had run off for pastries. "Young lady," he said, his voice deep and warm, "I hope you don't mind, but I listened to your story." I froze, embarrassed. I hope it wasn't too loud. I get carried away sometimes." He chuckled.
No.
"It was impressive. The world you described, the emotion, the detail, you have a gift." My cheeks warmed. No one had ever spoken about my abilities like that before. I'm just making things up, I said quietly. That's what storytellers do, he replied. Good ones, at least. He extended a business card toward me. My name is Charles Whitmore. I work with a small but respected literary firm. We help writers develop their first books. I blinked at a book.
Me?
I heard your imagination, he continued. The depth of it, the emotion. And I believe you have a novel inside you. A real one. I'd like to help you write it. My breath caught. You want me to write a novel? Yes, he said with a gentle smile. And you'll be paid.
Well,
Enough to write comfortably.
paid. To write. Me.
My fingers trembled as I held the card. I don't know if I'm good enough, I whispered. He leaned in slightly. I'm old enough to recognize talent when I see it. And you have it. All you need is courage. Courage. Something I had been rebuilding piece by piece. Mrs. Gardner appeared beside us with a knowing smile.
See, Ava?
Didn't I tell you your stories were going somewhere? I felt overwhelmed, scared, excited, disbelieving. But deep inside, a small spark lit up. A spark I didn't recognize at first.
Hope.
Real, burning hope. I looked at the card in my hand again, white, simple, elegant. I'll do it, I said finally, my voice shaking with emotion. Charles nodded. Good. I look forward to reading your first pages. When he walked out of the cafe, I sat there in stunned silence. My heart pounded. My entire life felt like it had shifted an inch to the right, into a path I never knew existed. Mrs. Gardner placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. I'm proud of you, dear, she said softly. Truly proud. And with those words, I felt something warm bloom in my chest. A feeling I had never received from my own family. My new life had just begun. And for the first time ever, it felt like it was truly mine. Writing a novel felt like stepping into a cold lake, terrifying, strange, and somehow irresistible. For weeks, I wrote every morning before work and every night after dinner. My small room above the bakery became a tiny world of notebooks, messy drafts, cups of tea, and whispered lines I practiced out loud. I wrote slowly at first. Awkward. Unsure. Scared that every sentence was a mistake. But then something shifted. The story I had told the kids, the lonely girl, the dragon with broken wings, the forest full of secrets, started growing on its own. New characters appeared. The world deepened. And in every page, I poured pieces of myself I had never dared to say out loud. I wasn't just writing a story. I was writing my heart. When I finally gathered enough courage to share the first draft with Mr. Whitmore, my hands shook the entire walk to the cafe. I placed the printed pages on the table in front of him, like I was offering him my soul. He put on his glasses, cleared his throat, and read. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. Then an hour. I sat there frozen, staring at the steam rising from my untouched tea. Finally, he looked up at me. There was a softness in his eyes, something warm and approving. Ava, he said quietly, this is beautiful. My breath caught. I pressed my fingertips against my lips to stop them from trembling. You mean it? I whispered. I don't say things I don't mean, he replied. Your writing has depth, emotion, and imagination. You're a storyteller. A real one.
Keep going.
Finish this book. The words hit me like a gentle, life-changing blow. Finish the book. No one in my life had ever believed in me like that. Not once. Not for anything. And for the first time, I believed him. I believed in myself. So I wrote, and wrote, and wrote. Rainy nights, sleepless mornings, lunch breaks spent scribbling plot ideas on napkins in the cafe. The book grew from a collection of moments to a complete world. And one evening, after months of effort, I typed the final sentence. I stared at the last line with tears in my eyes. My chest felt warm and tight, like I had finally found the missing piece of myself. I whispered, "I did it." We prepared it for publishing. There was one final thing I had to decide. My author name, my real last name, the one tied to my parents, to humiliation, to years of being invisible, felt wrong. It didn't belong to the girl I was becoming. So I chose a pen name, Ava Willow. Willow for the cafe,
For the place that saved me.
for the woman who gave me kindness when I had nothing left. When the book finally released, I felt sick with nerves, excited, terrified. The night before launch, I sat in my tiny room holding the first printed copy. The cover was beautiful, soft blues, stars, and the silhouette of a girl standing before a dragon. Mrs. Gardner hugged me so tightly, I almost cried. "You deserve this, dear. Every word of it." I prayed quietly before bed, just a small, hopeful prayer, that someone, somewhere, might feel something for my story. The first week was slow. A few sales, a few small reviews, a few polite compliments. I told myself not to get discouraged. Every writer starts small, but the doubt still crept in at night. What if no one liked it? What if it was all in my head? What if I wasn't meant for this after all? Then something happened. A group of kids from the cafe bought copies. They told their friends. The friends told other kids. Parents began leaving reviews online. A magical story, full of heart, made my daughter cry in a good way. Word of mouth spread faster than I expected. By the second month, the sales chart climbed. Slowly,
Steadily.
like my story was walking into people's homes, one heart at a time. I would sit at the cafe after work and watch children flip through the pages, their eyes wide, their smiles real, their imaginations glowing. That alone felt like success. Then one morning, Mr. Whitmore walked into the cafe holding a printout of sales numbers. He placed it in front of me. I blinked at the page, then blinked again. My book wasn't just selling. It was moving. Children's fantasy. New author. Climbing the rankings. My hands flew to my mouth. "Oh my God." He laughed softly. "I believe congratulations are in order." My heart raced with disbelief and gratitude.
You did this, I said.
"No," he replied.
You did.
"And now it's time to think about the next step." I tilted my head. "What next step?" He leaned on the counter. "The kids are already asking," he said with a smile. "They want to know what happens next. They want a sequel. A series even. A series.
Me.
Writing a series." The idea scared me and thrilled me. I laughed under my breath, overwhelmed. A series? I don't even know where to start.
But I did know.
Deep down, I knew exactly where the story wanted to go. "You already have it in you," he said gently. "You just need to trust yourself." I looked at the card he had given me months ago, still tucked safely in my bag like a quiet memory of when everything began. And I realized something. This was the first time in my life where I wasn't chasing someone else's expectations. I wasn't being compared. I wasn't being judged. I wasn't being belittled. I was creating something mine, and people were waiting for more. "I'll write it," I said finally. "I'll write the next book." Mrs. Gardner clapped her hands from behind the counter. "I knew it, dear. I knew you were meant for this." I smiled, soft, emotional, full of belief. My author journey had begun, and for the first time, I felt like I was exactly where I was meant to be. The years that followed felt like walking through a dream I had never dared to imagine for myself. My second book released, then the third, then the fourth. Each one found readers faster than the last. Children grew up with my stories. Teens quoted lines at conventions. Adults sent messages saying my characters helped them heal something inside them. My name, Ava Willow, slowly became known. Not everywhere, not overnight, but steadily, like a quiet sunrise that refuses to stop rising. Bookstores invited me for signings. Libraries wanted me for talks. Teachers asked me to speak at schools. And every night, when I returned home to my apartment filled with notebooks, fairy lights, and stacks of manuscripts, I would whisper to myself, "This is real. This is mine." 5 years passed. My book series had crossed 1 million sales. Then 3 million. Then more. People called me a beloved storyteller. A national treasure. A voice of imagination. I never truly believed any of it, but I cherished every word. Then one morning, my agent called me, her voice trembling with excitement. "Ava, you need to sit down." I laughed. "Why?" "Because there's a line of directors fighting over your film rights." I froze. Film rights. My book. A movie. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Within days, I was in meetings with directors I had grown up watching on screen. Some were young and eager. Some were legends, the kind who won awards every time they made something. They spoke passionately about my characters, my world, my message. One director, a woman known for emotional fantasy films, said, "I want to make a movie that children will watch 20 years from now and still feel something." Her words touched me deeply. That was exactly what I wanted. We signed the deal. Casting began. When they told me who might play my main heroine, I almost choked on my tea. A globally loved actress. The kind of woman young girls admired. "She loves your books," the producer said. She cried during the audition scene. I pressed my hand to my heart. That means everything to me. Everything moved fast after that. Sets were built, scenes shot, trailers released, and finally, the movie was ready. The premiere night felt unreal. Spotlights flashed like stars. Reporters filled the carpet. Fans held posters of my characters, cheering every arrival. I walked slowly, my dress simple but elegant, my hands trembling just enough to remind me I was alive. The director was interviewed first. "What drew you to Ava Willow's work?" a reporter asked. She smiled. "Her writing has heart. Real, raw heart. You can feel every emotion she lived through." Then the lead actress stepped up. "What was it like playing the main character?" She laughed softly. It felt like stepping into someone's memories. Ava writes with such honesty. I carried her words with me every day on set. I felt tears sting my eyes. Then it was my turn. Microphones lifted. Cameras focused. "Ava," the interviewer said, "how does it feel seeing your book come to life on screen?" I took a slow breath. "It feels like watching my younger self finally being heard," I said. "All those years I felt invisible. Now my stories have a voice." "And your author journey?" he asked. I smiled gently. It wasn't easy. I came from a place where my achievements never mattered. But I found people who believed in me. A cafe owner who made me feel seen, an old gentleman who encouraged my writing, and friends who became my support. They're my family. He nodded. "And your real family? Any thoughts on how they might feel tonight?" I paused. The lights were bright, the camera silent. Everyone waited for my answer. Slowly, I shook my head. My family is the people who lifted me when I had nothing. My readers. My friends. The cafe that gave me warmth. That's all I'll say. It wasn't angry. It wasn't bitter. It was simply the truth. The interviewer nodded respectfully. "Thank you, Ava. Congratulations." I stepped away, my heart steady. Back in my hometown, the TV played the interview in the living room of the house I once grew up in. My mother sat rigidly, hands clasped tightly. My father stared at the screen, silent. Amelia stood beside them, her jaw slightly trembling. When the interviewer asked about my family, they leaned forward, hopeful, nervous. Then they heard what I said. My family is the people who lifted me when I had nothing. My mother closed her eyes. My father let out a slow breath. Amelia looked down at her hands. Pride flickered in their eyes, yes. How could it not? Their neglected daughter was a celebrated author. Her movie premiere was national news. But behind that pride was something deeper, heavier, regret,
Pain.
a realization that they no longer had a place in my life, that I had created a world without them, a life without their approval, a family without their presence. They were proud of me,
But they were also outsiders now.
and they knew it. The punishment was simple,
Silent.
unavoidable. They were no longer part of my story. As I stepped into the theater that night, surrounded by applause and bright lights, I felt peaceful. My past no longer controlled me. My words had built me a new life. A life I chose. A life filled with people who loved me the way I had always deserved. This was my world now. My voice. My victory. And I walked forward, finally, completely free. My writing room was the quietest place in the world. Sunlight poured through the floor-to-ceiling windows, spilling across the shelves lined with my books, fan letters, and framed movie posters. The house was warm, soft, full of earthy colors and gentle light, a place that felt like a hug after a long day. A place I had built entirely on my own. I was working through a new chapter draft when my assistant, Clara, knocked lightly. "Ava," she said, poking her head in. "There's a couple waiting to see you. They said it's important." I frowned. "A couple?" She nodded, uncertain. They seemed nervous. They didn't give names. I sighed and stood, smoothing my sweater as I walked out of my writing room. But when I stepped into the living room, I froze. My parents were sitting on the edge of the couch, stiff, anxious, their hands folded like two guilty children.
Mom? Dad?
They stood quickly. My mother's voice trembled. "Ava, sweetheart." It took everything in me not to break down. Not because I needed them, but because once upon a time I had. We stood staring at each other for a moment, the space between us thick with years of silence. My father cleared his throat. "You look good. Healthy." His voice cracked. "Successful. We're proud of you." A soft ache moved through my chest. "Thank you," I said politely. My mother looked around my home, blinking back tears. "You built such a beautiful life, Ava. We're glad." "Truly." I nodded. I wasn't angry anymore. I had outgrown that weight. "We're sorry," she whispered suddenly. "For everything. The things we said, the way we treated you. I don't expect forgiveness, but we needed to say it." I took a breath. "I don't carry grudges," I said softly. "It hurt. It shaped me, but it's behind me now." They both exhaled at the same time, relief trembling through them. Then my father spoke carefully. "We came because we wanted to invite you to Amelia's wedding." My eyebrows rose.
Wedding?
"That's fast." My parents exchanged a look. "It's deranged," my mother said, avoiding my eyes. "A business marriage. Our company has been struggling for years. This alliance will keep it from collapsing." My chest tightened. Amelia, my golden child sister. The one who had everything except freedom, apparently.
I'm sorry, you whispered.
Even after everything, I felt bad for her. "She won't say it," my father said quietly, "but she needs you there." I hesitated, not because I hated them, but because walking back into their world felt like reopening an old scar. Still, I nodded. All right, I'll come. Their shoulders sagged with visible relief. The wedding hall was grand, loud, glittering with gold. People whispered as I walked in, recognizing me from interviews, posters, book jackets. But my parents only looked grateful, like they were holding on to something fragile. I spotted Amelia near the stage. She was stunning in her bridal dress, but her eyes were hollow, her smile forced, her hands trembling slightly where no one could see. She wasn't the proud, sharp sister I remembered. She looked tired, defeated, trapped. When she saw me, her lips parted in shock. "Ava," she whispered. I stepped close and hugged her gently. "Congratulations," I said softly. Her throat bobbed. Thank you." Her groom stood nearby, tall, intimidating, with a cold expression that didn't fit the celebration. He nodded once at me. "Ava Willow, an honor," he said formally. "Your books are remarkable." His tone was icy, distant, unreadable. "Thank you," I replied calmly.
He didn't meet my eyes again.
Then came his family, his mother and sister, dressed in expensive silk, dripping with diamonds, smiling too brightly. "Oh, you're Ava," the mother exclaimed. "We adore your books. Such talent, such imagination." She leaned in knowingly. "You must be the pride of your parents." I felt Amelia stiffen beside me. His sister chimed in with a false sweet voice. Hard to imagine growing up with a sibling like this. Must have been overshadowing for her. A quiet, cruel jab. Amelia's eyes dimmed. I smiled politely, but my voice held steel. "Actually," I said gently, "Amelia has always been strong. Smarter than people realize. She carries more than she shows. I admire her for that." Silence. The mother blinked. The sister froze. Even the groom glanced over, surprised. Amelia's eyes filled with tears almost instantly. My parents, watching from a distance, went still. I could see the shock on their faces. The regret. The realization of what I had just done. Protecting the sister who had never protected me. When alone, Amelia whispered, voice breaking, "Ava, why?" "Because you're my sister," I murmured. "And no one deserves to be spoken down to. Not even once." Her face crumpled. My parents' eyes shone with guilt and something far softer. Pride, maybe. Painful pride. The groom said nothing. He simply stared at Amelia for a long moment, as if seeing her differently for the first time. After the ceremony, our parents asked for a picture. "A family photo," my mother whispered, her voice shaking. If you're willing." For a moment, I hesitated. Then I nodded. We stood together for the first time in years. My mother wiping tears. My father holding himself together. Amelia holding my hand tightly, like she didn't want to let go. The camera flashed. A strange warmth spread through me. Not forgiveness. Not forgetting. Just understanding. We were a family again. Not perfect, not healed, but present. And for the first time, it felt enough. The picture captured a moment I never expected to get back. A moment of soft beginnings. A moment of letting go. A moment of quiet, imperfect love. A moment where I realized healing doesn't erase the past. It simply allows you to walk forward without dragging the pain behind you. And I was finally ready to walk forward.